Welcome back to the Nick and Sanjee podcast. Today we're talking all things YouTube Shorts and everything that we've learned over the past 12 months posting shorts every single day.
We'll also run through some tips on what you can implement into your channel, and we'll talk through what our plans are for YouTube Shorts in 2024. Welcome back, everyone, to the Nick and Sanjee podcast, where we run through our tips and tricks on how to start a YouTube channel as we ourselves go on that journey. Welcome back, Nick. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm feeling good. I'm excited about this episode. How are you today?
I'm good. Welcome into 2024. We've got a new rhythm as well in terms of our workflow, so pretty excited. So let's get straight into it. Today we're talking about YouTube Shorts, some of our learnings from posting consistently, some more than others, I say that, and what we've learned and what our plans are in terms of what we're going to do in 2024 in terms of Shorts, because it doesn't look like Shorts are going away anytime soon. Now, for anyone who isn't aware of YouTube Shorts, we'll give you a bit of a high-level rundown. So this is the up to 60-second videos that YouTube brought out. I think it was in early 2021 as a bit of a response to TikTok and Instagram Reels. So you will usually see them on the homepage. They're not on the top bar, but they're usually within 2 or 3 scrolls of the top section of away from the long form videos, and you can see these are the vertical videos where they're usually up to 60 seconds. They're kind of short, snappy things. Often they show podcast content because I think that works quite well for the YouTube Shorts environment, but they're also just nice, snappy videos. And any creator can make shorts, and they're pretty easy to make, really, but that also means there's quite a lot of content out there that's probably not as well optimized. So that's some of the things that we'll share. They are monetizable. They weren't in the early days. YouTube was very slow and careful in terms of bringing it out, but now they are monetizable. But as far as we've seen, there's not a lot of money in them, but we'll run through that as well. So with that being said, Nick, tell us a bit about your background into Shorts and your journey so far.
Yeah, so the start of last year, I decided I was going to post a long form video every week, and I was doing 6 short forms. So it wasn't quite every single day, but I was posting a video every single day. And so I feel like I learned quite a bit about posting, YouTube Shorts, what works, what doesn't work. For the most of the year, I generally posted just repurposed long form content. So all my long form videos, I just cut them up into sections if they lend themselves to that type of thing, and turn them into just shorts. And I was posting them pretty much every week. The other 2 categories of shorts that I was making was kind of just like creative edits. So, interesting B-roll shots. I did some drone shorts, and then the other type of category that I tried late last year was like fully edited, fully scripted, from scratch YouTube shorts. So they weren't cut from my long form. So it was kind of the 3 categories I tried. And overall, they brought in quite a lot of subscribers, decent amount of views overall. I'd say on average, it was probably 20% of my view count was from YouTube Shorts compared to my long form. And then probably similar in terms of subscribers. I was probably getting about 20% of my subscribers from my shorts. And then towards the end of the year, when I really started to sort of go hard on shorts and tailor make them from scratch, it went up to maybe 40% of my views were coming from YouTube Shorts compared to long form. But the big downside, which we can talk a bit more about later, was just that like in November, I got a bit over 100,000 views on shorts and only made $12 in ad revenue. So it was only about 1% of my total ad revenue for the month. So yeah, there's just not a lot of cash there. But in terms of views and subscribers, yeah, there's definitely possibilities. So that's kind of been my experience the last 12 months. How about you, Sanjee?
Yeah, so I started in early 2021 around the YouTube Shorts when they were coming out in, I think, beta testing. I was part of the PTYA community, like a small YouTube cohort, and someone in there mentioned that YouTube was going to start testing it, and we heard a little bit about what they wanted to do, and they didn't have everything sorted, so it was more so you had to make a video that was under a minute, and you had to put in like hashtag shorts in the title and I think in the description, and then it would get captured as shorts. And there was all these other little things that you had to do, but it was the early days. I've put out about 7, so nowhere near what you've done, Nick, but I've put out about 7 shorts, and I've had some decent views, but they account for less than 1% of my monetization and of my views. So they're not, by themselves, they're pretty good videos, but compared to my long form videos, they're not getting anywhere near the overall hits. And that's understandable. I think if you've only put out 7 shorts and you put out, over 50 to 60 long form videos, probably not going to get that much engagement. And admittedly, I think my shorts were very much testing the waters. So they weren't that interesting. So I don't think they're going to attract that much attention in terms of subscribers and view count anyway. So that's been sort of my experience so far. And yeah, I'm keen to hear a bit more about what you've learned from putting out like one nearly every day, because that's definitely where the action is. And that's probably where we got a lot of learnings that we can run through on this. So on that topic, in terms of your experience, Nick, what are some key things that you can run through from posting quite frequently?
Yeah, well, there was kind of a big thing I learned, I think, probably halfway through the year, which I tried to implement from the start of the year, but didn't do very well, was just making sure I had a process for learning from my past shorts so I can improve on them. And I try to do that with my long form as well, but yeah, it just made a huge difference with my short form. And that was just a process of trying to have a weekly time where I review and go back over past shorts, see what was working and what was not working. And I kind of collated all the common themes and common points and the data that was working and what wasn't working into one document. And that helped me to sort of just get a sense of generally what I should be doing and what I should stop doing. And that was really helpful. Like, I'm so glad I did that. And that kind of led me to making shorts from scratch towards the end of the year. And the main things I was kind of watching for was retention drop-off points. So I just checked the retention graph on the YouTube analytics page, and you can see really clearly, I think because they're short videos, people tend to swipe, pretty consistently at common spots. So I found it was often a big dip at certain points. And so I'd try to analyze, what did I do there that was making people swipe away. And so it might be I was just rambling too much. I wasn't keeping to the topic. It might have come across as too, like commercial, like I was trying to sell something, all sorts of things like that I would just note down. I take note of the sections of the video that were getting high retention, so where people were sticking around for a long time, and then sort of contrast that with the low retention spots. And then the other big thing I was really looking to pay attention to was the intros, because again, you can see a big drop off if it's a bad intro because people are instantly not interested. Whereas my best performing shorts always had really high engagement at the start, and then it would still taper off, but it would always have a really high engagement at the start. And you can see that with the people who swiped away. I think it's on the engagement tab. So percentage of people who swiped away versus percentage of people who stopped to actually watch the video. And I found, I think anything over 65% is decent, but really you want to be in there 75, 80% of people who see your short will watch. Otherwise it's just not going to go anywhere. So that was kind of my process. And it took me from earlier in the year where I was getting maybe 800 views per short on average from my just repurposed, not very well thought out shorts, to I was getting consistently about 5,000 views on my shorts after analyzing the data and just tailoring it to what was working, and also analyzing what other creators were doing. I think that was another big thing I was trying to learn from, was I just go to my favorite creators who are in the similar niche to me, look at their shorts tab, see what they were doing, see what was working, see what was getting the views, and then just try and replicate it using a similar sort of template.
Yep. Before I think we go into a bit more detail around what you've learned, because I think that's a really good summary around your process and how you improve things along the way. I was thinking we can also just touch a bit on the different types of shorts. I think you sort of touched on it at the start, but when we've referred to repurposed content, we're basically talking about a long form video that we've thought, okay, that's going to be quite useful in a 30-second or 60-second thing. So we're recutting that into that. Then there's actual pure short specific content, which I think Nick, you were saying you start to do towards the end of it, where you sit down and you say, okay, what's a really good video topic and script that I can write for someone to watch for 30 to 60 seconds or even less than 30 seconds. And that's where, well, I'll let you get into the detail on that, but that seems to be where a lot of the action is. I think it's only, from what I've seen, it's only really podcasts that seem to do well where they've repurposed a long form video. It's not easy for people to just take one of their normal, anyone else, any other type of creator, just to take a normal video and turn it into 30 seconds and hopefully there is something there. I think some can probably do it where they've got a quick soundbite, but most people have to either make a custom thing or it's, repurposed podcasts is probably what I would say.
Yeah. I did try doing a blend. So kind of halfway between doing tailor-made content and just the purely repurposed. I tried recording individual hooks to start, and then I just edit that onto my long form repurposed content, and that did perform better. So I think, and even when I've been watching other podcast shorts, for example, that are performing well, they always have a strong hook. Like that seems to be the key thing that ties all well performing shorts together. It's not so much, from my experience, it seems to be less about the quality of it or even the content. It's really about the hook. Like, does it really grab your attention? Because I think, speaking from my experience, when I'm scrolling through shorts or Instagram reels, like I'm so quick to judge. Like, so, like within half a second, if it hasn't engaged me, I'm like, nah, next one. So I think that's why if you can nail the hook, like it just makes all the difference. So yeah, I think even if you do have just purely cut repurposed content, but you can add a hook to the start, it does make a big difference. So I think a few things that I found from my personal content, and I guess it will vary depending on the niche you're in, but some big things that I found was that shorts that were 19 seconds, they seemed to perform the best. Ones that were shorter didn't perform so well for me. Ones that were a lot longer didn't perform so well. Wasn't always the case. There was definitely outliers, but on average, I'd say around 19 seconds was good. Shorts that were swiped away less were pushed more. So again, if more than 60%, I would say even 65% of people stuck around to actually watch the short, it was pushed more by the YouTube algorithm. So again, just speaks to the importance of hooks. And I've even done a little bit of research trying to listen to other creators, and they say like 80% is really what you should be aiming for, 80% plus. Anything less than that, they just don't seem to do that well. Creating seamless loops definitely helped as well, because it's the old trick of just getting you that extra, watch time and retention, because people can't quite tell when the short's finished, and so that gives you a few extra seconds of retention, which helps the YouTube algorithm to push it. And it's actually not too difficult to edit once you get the hang of it. And then I obviously included captions on all my shorts. I don't 100% know. Like, I've never done testing comparing shorts that don't have captions with captions, so I don't really know the data in terms of what the difference is. But that's what's worked for me.
That's actually a really good one that you could easily test, I imagine. Well, anyone can really test is they make two shorts, one with captions, one without captions, and push them out a day after each other and just see how they land. Because I think that's one of the really handy things about shorts is, and that's probably what I need to lean into more in 2024 myself, is YouTube will push them. Like, you get quite a lot of data pretty quickly, and you'll see if you've got a good idea or not.
Yeah. That's very true. Because I'm not sure. I guess it's just because YouTube's prioritizing them a lot at the moment. But like you say, within the first day or two, you'll get a big spike of views, and then that determines whether or not they're going to keep pushing it. Really, and you can learn a lot from that data. So
one of the things so creating the seamless loop really helps, and that's, if anyone doesn't know quite yet, but that's basically where the video starts and then it feels like it hasn't ended because they've done a really good job of editing. Because shorts naturally repeat by themselves. You have to actively tell them to force forward or go to the next one. So if you don't do anything while you're watching a short, then it will just move on to, it will just go back to the start. And some people are very good at editing in a way that as the short finishes, it connects to the start of the neck of itself, and it just it looks like a single swoop.
Yeah.
One thing I've hated about people trying to capture for retention, and I'll almost skip someone just because of it, is when they say, "Here are 3 tips." Oh, and the last one's really good. As if to, oh yeah, all right, I'll hang around for the last one just because you said so.
Yep.
I don't know
That's
if you've
fair.
done that yourself,
I've
Nick,
tried it.
but
I've tried it. It definitely helps. The data definitely backs it up. But
okay,
again, it's
good.
like, I agree. It's like, it's one of those things with shorts. It can feel a bit, I don't know, inauthentic sometimes because you kind of do have to use these hooks. But I guess to me, that's kind of part of the nature of short form. You know, it's just short attention spans. People want to be grabbed. You kind of have to make it a little bit clickbaity if you want it to do well. Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us about a bit about how you can optimize the hooks, because I think you've noted that's where a lot of the action is. So how do you optimize for people in terms of the hook?
I think there was a really good system that I got from Ed from Film Booth. I don't know if you know Ed from Film Booth, but he had a really good system for creating hooks. I can't remember off the top of my head all of the different items, but it was basically like, if you can make someone feel safe, you can make them feel like it's an easy process. If you can make them feel like it's achievable, and then it's a big claim. If you can combine all those things into like one sentence, which is actually kind of easier than it sounds, then you're kind of like hitting all the things that you need to hit in order to make it really engaging, to grab someone's attention. So I've tried to incorporate that into my scripting, and that's helped. And there's heaps of different hooks that you can just find online from other, YouTube Shorts gurus or Instagram Reels gurus. I got some really good ones from an Instagram Reels guru. He just gave you a whole bunch of templates. And again, these are really useful. You can just chop and change, depending on what type of content you're making. So like top number favorite things I use daily. You could put that, into any type of content. You don't need a lot of this to do this. Another ones, you don't have this. 10 unbreakable tips to this. So there's all sorts of those, kinds of hooks you can find online, that you can integrate into your own, particular style or niche. And then I think it's just a matter of figuring out what works, what works and what doesn't work. But again, if you can really grab people's attention with that first sentence and then deliver, I think that's the other big thing. You have to be able to back it up. That's I've noticed what makes the most successful shorts for me. So, yeah.
That makes a lot of sense for me in terms of why a lot of my shorts probably haven't done as well, is because mine are tutorials and I approach it in a very, like, I certainly don't try and hook your attention. I just assume you're looking for a tutorial on how to buy shares on CMC.
Yeah.
Or here are ways on how to know how frequently to invest in the share market.
Yep.
So I think the people who do watch them enjoy them, but not a lot of people want to watch them to start with. So there's something I can do around probably optimizing my hook or making or maybe just making completely different videos on personal finance in shorts, because the ones that I'm making are not that interesting to people because they're probably not as relevant to the shorts format. So
yeah,
there's a balance there for me as well.
So there was kind of 2 other big takeaways of things that I learned, kind of like main things I think that I've figured out for me have really worked for me. The first one, or the second one, apart from the hooks, is to script the shorts individually. So that's kind of what I was saying before about like tailor making shorts from scratch rather than just repurposing my long form. When I started scripting out the whole short by itself as one piece of content, they performed much better. And again, I think it's because I'm just really thinking about tailoring the content to the short form format rather than, trying to take something that's intended for long form and squeeze it into short form. And then it forces me to think about the hook more as well and that type of thing. So if you can script the whole short from start to finish and then record it individually, I think that's the way to go. And then the last one was just to cut out anything irrelevant. And I didn't like fully realize how crucial that is in terms of what people aren't willing to watch when it comes to shorts. Like you can waffle a little bit on long form and people are willing to put up with it. And I think, again, it goes back to the format. Like if you're watching a long form video, you expect it to, you know, maybe diverge a little bit, maybe go into some different topics. It's okay. And because you're prepared to sit down and watch a 10-minute video or like an 8-minute video. But when it comes to shorts, if it's like 1 second of wasted time, people just swipe away. So I noticed any waffling whatsoever was just instantly punished, you know. And so again, I think that goes back to scripting the short individually, because I tried to cut out waffling from the long form content repurpose stuff, but you can't always do that. But when I script it, I can absolutely nail down, make sure every single word is relevant. Otherwise, you just get punished by the algorithm because people are swapping away. So it's kind of the main three things I think I learned about my shorts.
Yeah, and it's these are skills that we need for any YouTube video. But like you're saying, you can usually, I know a lot of YouTubers, there's two types. There are some who heavily script and there are others who go off dot points. And I've seen YouTubers that do both. I'm definitely someone who leans towards the dot points, and hopefully the conversational side goes along. But I don't think shorts is one that you can get away with dot points. You really do need to script, like you said, word for word. Almost. I remember Graham Stephan actually in the early days saying you almost need to script your intro even for long form videos. Like it just has to be perfect. People need to feel. And then over time, probably when you get to a Casey Neistat, Graham Stephan level, you can kind of wander into a video and people will hang around because it's you. But for early stage creators, we just have to be short and sharp from the start.
100%.
But at the same time, it's a short video. It's 30 seconds. So it's not a lot of work. But
exactly.
It's probably, the total amount of time you put into it is probably the same as you put into a 1-minute video. A long form video, I imagine.
Yeah.
Okay, Nick, so looking into 2024, what are some things that you want to do differently or similarly for shorts?
So I'm going to completely stop making shorts, actually, even though I've spent all this time talking about, you know, how I've optimized them and I've gotten the hang of it. I'm going to stop it completely. And basically the reason is kind of what I touched on at the start, is that they just don't make much money. And, you know, like, because this is my full-time job currently, it just doesn't really make business sense for me to spend the amount of time I'm spending on shorts, because like I think I was spending probably 2 days a week making shorts. So that's like a third of my time, probably a bit more than a third of my time. And I was making like $10 a month, you know, compared to what I was making for my long form. So it just doesn't make sense, unfortunately. Even with the bump in views and subscribers, it wasn't translating financially. And I think we've talked about before, I think it makes a lot of sense in terms of getting exposure, getting your name out there, getting your brand out there, and making sure you're top of mind for people. But yeah, the stage I'm at, I don't think it makes sense. So I'm going to wait until I can afford to properly start outsourcing that type of thing. And then I'm definitely going to get back into it, because I think it's really valuable to do. And I wish I could do it. And I even I actually quite enjoy making shorts. But yeah, from a business point of view, it just doesn't make sense for me right now. So that's what I'm going to do. Hopefully within 3 or 4 months, I'll be back into it, but we'll see how we go. So how about for you, Sanjee? What's your plan for this year?
Yeah, so I'm going to make some in 2024. I agree. I do think they are a handy way of building awareness. And I think an area that hasn't been properly really reviewed and studied yet is translation of short form content and audience into long form content and audience. I think generally I've seen it hasn't connected that well from what I've heard. Like some people have made an entire career out of purely shorts and others have done purely long form. there's not a lot that seem to do well in both areas.
Mm.
And it's hard. I think the YouTube audience is still finding its own feet around how it views shorts. So we'll see as well in terms of my space. I know for personal finance and investing, some of the heavy hitters that I kind of keep an eye on, they're not making a lot of shorts.
Mm.
But then there is people like Graham Stephan, who's definitely making the odd short here or there, but he's very much focused on what are people doing in terms of how much money they make or how much money they're worth. So there's little things like that I think I can certainly talk about, I guess, without engaging with people directly. That would be something worth looking into.
Yep.
But I think purely shorts on ETFs, I have to figure out who's doing that well and how to do that well. Maybe I can be my own test case. But for now, I will try and do one maybe a month only. I don't think there's a lot of action there for me, to really try out. But like you said, I do remember when I would make shorts, they were quite fun and easy to just kind of turn around.
Yeah.
But that's probably because I wasn't making very high quality ones myself. So if you think, they can technically be done just on the front-facing element of your camera. So, and a lot of people were doing TikToks just with their mobile phones. So
yeah.
It's weird for, I think, YouTube to shift into shorts where like you need this to be an amazing production. But then people on TikTok are just like smashing them out with the back-facing camera. So
yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, so I'll probably try and do some, at least once a month. I'll focus on things like book reviews. I think that's probably my space. That is my niche. And then I can touch a bit on interesting facts, maybe around ETFs. But again, the ETF space also moves pretty quickly that I have to be cognizant that I make a short and it won't be very much forever. It will only be maybe relevant for a couple of months and then it might die off itself. So I'll try and find a bit of a balance myself. Fantastic, Nick. So where can people find you on the internet?
I am on YouTube, Nick Kendall, Instagram occasionally at Nick Kendall _ and then my email newsletter is Create Better. You can sign up on my website, nickkendall.com.au. How about you, Sanjee?
Yes, I'm Sanjee Sen on YouTube and Sanjee Sen website. I am also on some other platforms, but I'm not as active. And I do need to restart my newsletter sometime in 2024. So that's exciting too.
Yes, looking forward to that.
All right. Thanks everyone for listening. And don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're on the YouTube channel. And also please do leave a review on your podcasting platform, whether that's Apple Music or Spotify. Just leave a review. We do read every review and we do read every comment, mainly because there's not a lot. So feel free to send them through and we'll keep an eye on them. Thanks for listening. Bye for now.
Bye for now.